Wow, a snack and a drink? Thanks, lawnmower. Wait, this is a pickle beer. I'll return you. So a little over a year ago, we moved to the house that you now can't see because there's a giant garage in the way, but that's a good thing. But whenever we moved here, the yard is, I mean, it's a pretty good size. I only had a push mower at the time, so I had to make the choice. Do I buy something like a riding lawnmower, a zero turn, or do I buy a robot that might mow the yard for me? And so I chose to take a risk, buy the robot. I had never had one before. I didn't know really how well they worked. So last year I filmed the video of installing the lawnmower, because you do have to install a lawnmower. That's a thing. And people have recently started asking, did it work? How's it doing? Is it mowing the yard? And as you can see, it's mowing the yard. It just hit a tree too. It's now trying to mow the tree. So it's early spring right now. It's like the middle of April. We just started this thing up about a week ago. So people have been asking about the condition of the grass. Well, I mean, it needs to recover from winter and from construction and all that stuff. But I mean, the mower's been mowing the grass just fine. I don't think it would come out any better or worse if I mowed it myself.
Do you like to do it yourself?
Sometimes.
So before I get too far, just as a reminder, this is the Automower 430XH. The different numbers just mean that like they can do more and more lawn area, and the H in this one means it's higher for higher grass. We have St. Augustine here. We also have a bunch of weeds, so you know it's higher for weeds. But one of the things they tell you when you set this thing up is like you should start on the highest setting for mowing. So it has settings like from 10 down to 1. You're supposed to start at 10, then work your way back down to 9, 8, 7. Don't bother with that. Like it wasn't mowing anything at first when we first set it up, and so I just set it to 3. We're on 3 now, and that's where it likes to be, and it cuts the grass just fine. Another thing people have like commented on like if you go to look at these on Amazon in the comments, they say the blades get dull really fast, probably from hitting sticks just like that just did. I haven't found that to be the case though. It's on the same blades from when I bought it, and it's still cutting just as well, I think, as it did on day one. I did get some new blades to put on it for this season just to see how it'll do. But I don't think I really even need to, but they're just, 3 little razor blades, and it cuts the grass. Oh, and toys, it also cuts toys. This used to be a ball, and then it got lawnmowered. So actually, let's put this guy on the bench real quick, take the blades out and see just how bad they are. Oh yeah, so this is the old blade, and you can tell this one's seen some stuff. That's what a new blade looks like. It's sharp on either side, and this one, it was still cutting, but I don't think it's like there's no blade left there. I can put some pressure on it, and I'm not cutting myself at all. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and replace the blades real quick. So there's all 3 blades. They're all pretty well worn out. So if you get one of these, maybe change the blades out more often than I do. So as you can see, the lawnmower has had kind of a rough life. So we used to have trailers in our front yard, and there was a picnic table. That's what all this green paint is from, and I did not bother to put guide wire around those to block it off. I figured, the lawnmower would just bump into it and bounce off, and that didn't exactly happen. I mean, it did with the picnic table, so that was all fine, but sometimes it would get stuck underneath the trailer, and then this stop button right here, it would just like barely ever so slightly touch the stop button, and it would stop it underneath the trailer, and then you'd have to go and fish it out from underneath there, and that was never fun. There's still some things I'll show you in a minute where it gets stuck, but for the most part, it's dialed in now, not getting stuck anymore. There is one modification I made though to make it stop getting stuck, and that is in the back right here. It used to have a little lip that went down, and I went and I just cut it off. So what happened is it was getting stuck on really like the smallest bumps. So like we had some new sod, which we have new sod again because we've been under construction. And so like something like as small as this, it would go over and it would catch itself on the edge of the sod. And so I cut the back of it off, and ever since that, it's been doing way better. So the playground here, it doesn't really like the playground either. And so what I had to do is these slides, it would go up underneath the slides, lift them up, and then turn itself off. So just put some pipes here into the ground, and so now it'll hit the pipe and bounce off and not get turned off. I could, you know, do boundary wire all around this whole thing, but then it wouldn't mow the small amount of grass that is left because, again, because of the trailers. So this is the charging station for the lawnmower. This is where it comes back to, it charges itself, and whenever winter starts coming, it will send you a message that says, charge your lawnmower battery before you put it away for winter storage. And so I did not do that at all. What I wound up doing is just leaving it on the charger here, like out in the rain, the snow that didn't happen because we live in Texas. But it was fine all winter. And then I went to start it for the summer, and things didn't really work. I am filming this out of order, so I have no idea what I just said or what I'm about to say, but this part is important, so let's just go with it. So I went to start the lawnmower up after sitting all season, and we've been having, we were doing construction on the garage over here, and so there were contractors like breaking the boundary wire all the time, and I kept fixing it, and I thought I had it all fixed, and so I go to start the lawnmower up, and it says loop signal error, meaning the boundary wire is broken somewhere. So I went around to all the different connections that I've been splicing into, checked them all, they all seemed fine, and I could not find where the boundary wire was broken. So that's kind of a bummer, because I mean, the wire goes all the way around almost an acre of land. Like, what's my option? Like, go and replace it all? Luckily, watched a YouTube video, and so this is the Klein Tools Tone and, hold on, let me get it right. This is the Tone and Probe Tracing Kit, and this thing, it's not the cheapest tool in the world. It's about 80 bucks, but it is a lifesaver, and I'm going to say it's worth it because it just saved me from rerunning boundary wire all the way around my property. So what you do to find, what it's going to do is it's going to help us find the break in our wire. So come over here to the back of the base station. I unplugged all the wires, so we're going to tap into each side of the boundary wire. So this one over here is one side of it. This one over here is the other side. We're going to take this little part of the tool and connect a wire to each side. So we're hooked up now, one there, one there. We're going to turn this guy on, and it is in tone mode. It's doing a 800 hertz tone. Okay, great. Love that tone. So what it does is it's sending a tone through the boundary wire right now. And we're going to take this guy, the probe, turn him on. And so what happens is, you see the boundary wire right here, and when you get close to it, hear that? It's emitting a tone. So what you do is you go and you have to find your boundary wire. That's part of the challenge. So if you listen, like right here, it's really loud. And then the other side here, really quiet. So this is the positive side. Oh, you can hear that for sure. So it's louder off the positive side. I guess that's just the way it works. But what you do is you go through and you find where your boundary wire is in different spots, and you see if you get a tone or not. If you get a tone that's the loud tone, you're good. If you get no tone or a quiet tone, that means you're past the break in your wire. So what I did is I started splitting the difference. So over there, we know tone's good. I went like all the way over here, and I know there's a boundary wire right here because grass just didn't grow over it. And listen to that. What you're listening to is nothing because there's absolutely no tone. So that means somewhere between the start of our base station and here, the wire is broken. So what you do is you split the difference. So now I'm going to go to somewhere halfway in between where I just tested and here, see if I get a tone. And if I get a tone, I know the wire's not broken yet. If I don't get a tone, then it is broken, and we go back and we just keep splitting the difference until we find what I'm about to show you. So right here, we test the wire here, we get a nice tone, right? Come over here, no tone, just this kind of weird noise, which means it's just touching something, I think. So we know there's a break somewhere between there and there. And so if you look at the wire, this is where one day the robot decided to eat itself, and it was fine at the time, but over the past year the wire has corroded. I actually did it in 2 spots here, and this spot was the worst. I couldn't even see it because it was on the other side, and that wire is just basically, it's just gone now. So that's our break in the wire. So what we need to do is fix it between there, and that should get our loop signal back. And I would never have found that if it wasn't for this probe thing. Like, I would have spent money probably redoing wire around the entire property, hoping to find it eventually. So a little bit of a pricey tool, but in this case, I think it was totally worth it. So I just repaired the wire. We hooked everything back up over here. Just hit start, and we're gonna see if this thing goes. No loop signal. Dang it, we've got another break somewhere. Yep, check it out. Strong tone right there. Pretty much no tone right there. So that means somewhere between there and there, we've got a break in our wire. Look at that right there. More corrosion. I think it's another spot where the lawnmower nicked its own wire, and it's my fault. I didn't put down as many stakes as I should have, and so over time it has corroded. There's a break in the wire and no loop signal. So there was enough slack in the line there. I was able to just cut it, pull the wire a little bit, put a wire tap on it. So now we've got tone, tone. Hopefully that's it. Get another one right here. Corrosion. So yeah, that will generally do it. I don't know how that got cut, but somehow it did. So finally, we have the green light of success on the base station. That's what green means you're good to go. Before it was flashing blue, and apparently flashing blue is bad. So let's try this one more time. There she goes. Off to mow the yard again until the boundary wire breaks, and she won't mow anything. Thank you, Stephen from the past. So as I think I said, the guide wire problems are now solved. The wire running the perimeter of the property and the guide wires that tell it where to go, like there's one going that way and there's one going out to the big part of the yard, they are all fixed, and for the most part it works well. So we're gonna enter the random part of today's episode where I tell you things I like and things I don't like about it, and one of them is right here. So all the wires are fixed, right? But sometimes you'll get this message saying charging station blocked. And you'll come over and the lawnmower will be doing something just like that. And so clearly the charging station is not blocked, but what has happened is right here on the ground, there's kind of a dip right here. So it looks flat, but when the lawnmower goes on here, it presses down on this part right here. And these little, I don't know what you call them, these are the parts that charge, and so they need to go in there. And what happens is the lawnmower comes over and it's at like the wrong angle and it can't get itself in there. So what I need to do is what I've done before to fix this, go underneath there, take this thing up, put some dirt down, get it perfectly level, and then hopefully it won't happen again. I've already done it once, but it's starting to sag again. So hopefully that will fix the problem. I guess you could put, like, I don't know, a board or something underneath there to keep it perfectly flat. But that is one thing, is sometimes it just won't go back to charge because the charging station is blocked. So I just lifted the charging station up to re-level it, and it turns out the lawnmower was right. It is blocked. It's blocked by ants. Look at that. That is freaking gross, man. There's an ant colony underneath my lawnmower. Not for long. All right, we're leveled back out again. See if it can dock now. There she goes. So something I do like though, mowing. Mowing is good. Actually, so if you're wondering if you should buy one, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you the answer is yes. If for one reason, and that's, so middle of summer, 108 degrees, my neighbors are out mowing their yards, their lawn guys are out mowing, whoever, and at my house, I'm not out mowing. The most I have to do is go around an edge, and otherwise this guy takes care of it. I have not mowed the yard once the entire time that we've lived here, or at least mowed the grass. So like, one thing it doesn't do is it doesn't mulch leaves, and so there's way too many leaves around here to rake, so I took my push mower, mulched the leaves last winter, I think twice, and that worked, but apart from that, never once had to mow the yard. Another thing that's good about mowing is it's almost completely silent. Like, you do not hear this thing. I mean, if y'all hear it right now, you have better ears than me. So one thing I was slightly concerned about whenever we got this is that you have to put down boundary wire, which sucks for a number of reasons that you, I think, already know. And they tell you that the grass will grow over the boundary wire in... Those geese are angry. Let's go over here. And so they tell you the grass will grow over the boundary wire in a matter of weeks. And so it does. You can see right here, so this is the guide wire, and this grass is all dead because it didn't get watered last summer. But if you look, start to go down here into the weed section, there's some grass over here. You can't see the boundary wire, or this is the guide wire, same wire, whatever. You can't see it at all. It gets covered up. Probably in about a month you couldn't see any of it again, which actually was good and bad, because so we were doing construction on the garage. I had to move the boundary wire for the lawnmower like 3 or 4 times, and it was hard to go and find it and pull it up and reroute it and stuff, but it worked out. That was another reason I was actually glad I did it myself. So you can hire an installer to do the boundary wire, the guide wire for you, and they will trench it down in the ground like 2 inches below ground. But if I had done that, I wouldn't have been able to move it. I would have had to like dig it up or get new wire or something. But so it worked out well doing it myself, understanding how it works, and then whenever it breaks, I know how to fix it. So one problem we did have last year is that like towards the end of the mowing cycle, whenever the battery gets low, it will go back and find its home so it can charge. The thing was, it stopped doing that. What it did is it would start going around the perimeter of the yard to try and find its way home, and eventually it would run into something, have to go around it, and it'd lose where it was, and it couldn't find home, and so it would just be dead battery in the middle of the yard. And the reason for that was the guide wire, actually, I didn't realize it until I was going back and fixing the wire just a couple of days ago. The guide wire had broken, so the lawnmower will still run as long as the boundary wire is connected, but if the guide wire breaks, I think I got maybe like one notification like can't find guide wire, but then it just kept working. If the guide wire breaks, it'll still work. It won't be able to find its way home as well, and it may not be able to get back in charge. Another feature actually that I don't like is the schedule. So it has a schedule where you can set what times your lawnmower goes, like during the day, at night, whatever. The thing is, you can only schedule it twice for one day. So I like to schedule mine like so it runs at night, and then it stops in the morning when we're like driving to work and stuff. Then it'll start again during the middle of the day. But then if I want to schedule it to go like a third time, like after it stops for when we're coming home that evening, you can't schedule it to go again because you can only schedule it for twice in one day, which is silly, really. So this mower is ready to do up to 0.8 acres. Our yard is actually 0.85, but a lot of that is now garage. So last summer it would get pretty much everything, but we had to keep it going constantly, especially like when it was warm and the sprinklers were going and the grass was just growing nonstop. There would be patches sometimes that you would see that weren't mowed by the lawnmower, but the next time it would go, like the next cycle, it would get it. So it did keep up. It was just barely able to keep up. And people say, like oversize your lawnmower. So if you have 0.8 acres, get one that does like an acre or more. And I think at the time I bought this was the biggest like home version they had. The next step up was commercial version. I don't know if upsizing would be good or not. I think the only thing it does is it gives you a bigger battery so the lawnmower can keep going for longer. It doesn't have to charge as much. So maybe that would help. Maybe it wouldn't. I don't know. So this thing is GPS assisted. So I've mentioned the boundary wire multiple times now, which again is terrible. So you got to put down the boundary wire, but it has GPS that knows where it's mowed and where it hasn't, so it can charge and then go back to an area where it hasn't mowed yet. People keep telling me in the comments that they're going to come out with the one that doesn't need the boundary wire. I haven't seen that happen yet. We did actually have a few different companies, not Husqvarna, reach out to us and say, hey, we've got a GPS lawnmower that doesn't need boundary wire. Do you want to try it out? Thing is, the biggest one that they had contacted us about only did half an acre, so I wasn't going to go through the trouble of setting up a new lawnmower that wasn't going to be able to do my entire yard. So apparently these days there are lawnmowers out there that don't need the boundary wire. Just this one, we're still stuck fixing it when it breaks, or it eats itself, which breaks it, whatever. Another thing it doesn't do well is dirt. I mean, just look at that. That's embarrassing. So the trees, you can run your boundary wire to go around your trees so your lawnmower doesn't bump into your trees like that one just did. You missed it. We haven't had a problem with that though, except for this one tree here, like this root system right here. It's, I guess it gets shallow enough that the lawnmower can go up and kind of like get stuck on the root right there. That happens, I don't know, maybe once or twice a month. Not too big of a deal for me to take the time to rope it off. So like right here where you see I still haven't fixed the driveway yet. There's this little black angle iron thing here, and the lawnmower wire runs across the driveway. So whenever you're edging, you come through here and you chop your lawnmower wire unless you have something like that. Ask me how I know. So I did, whenever I had to move the lawnmower wire for construction, I didn't have enough of those little protectors that I'd made. And so I was like, oh, I'll just be careful. I won't cut the lawnmower wire. And then I cut the lawnmower wire. There's companies out there, they sell them. It's like 18 bucks for 2 of these little things. I wound up needing like 20 of them for how often it crosses driveways and sidewalks and things like that. So I made my own. It wound up being way more cost effective, and here's how you do it real quick if you didn't catch it the first time. So what we've got here is a piece of 1/2-inch angle iron. It's 1/8 of an inch thick, and what we're gonna do is mark and cut a bunch of 3-inch sections of it. We're gonna take all our pieces, put them approximately like this, leave a little bit of a gap there for the wire to pass through, and then weld them together just like that. There you go, not hard at all. I'm gonna let this cool down, and then yeah, that's hot. I'll throw some paint on it, and then you can just hammer it into the ground, put your wire through it. Can't get it with your edger. I think that's kind of it. We can just watch the lawnmower get stuck here for a minute and maybe get unstuck. I don't know. But yeah, again, if you're thinking of buying a robot lawnmower and you're on the fence about it, I was on the fence about it, and it's been pretty much the best thing ever as far as lawn mowing goes. But until next time, I think I'm gonna go throw some more cheese in the yard and have a snack. See you later.